Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Discriminating Gamer. Say, what 1980s action figure had his own farm? G.I. Joe. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go ahead and take a look at Shadow of the Serpent, an expansion for the G.I. Joe deck building game from Renegade. Hello everybody, we'll be back to the review in just a second. I just want to take a minute to tell you to go visit Galaxy of Games in West Jordan, Utah. It is Utah's newest game store. It's run by friends of mine. It's a great place, great selection, great prices, well lit, clean bathrooms. If you go in there, ladies and gentlemen, and you tell them that I sent you, the Discriminating Gamer, and you use the promo code TDG, you'll get 10% off of your purchase. Check out Galaxy of Games. In Shadow of the Serpent, an expansion to G.I. Joe deck building game from Renegade, players now have 2 new story missions to complete. They have some new leaders to play with, they have some new cards for the main deck, and they also have the G.I. Joe Command Center. Let's take a look. This game comes with 2 new leaders. You have Hawk and Storm Shadow, and they can both, of course, be promoted to more powerful versions of themselves as the game progresses. You have some new Cobra Officer cards, such as Serpent or Venom. You also have new Cobra Troopers, including the Ninjas. You have 8 new Complication cards in this set. You have an Expert Mode card, and you have 20 new main deck cards. Now, perhaps the most visually striking and interesting addition to this expansion is the G.I. Joe Command Center, the G.I. Joe Headquarters. This comes as 5 different tiles that you lay out before you. Now, they come out in kind of their unready side, in which you have to spend your accrue points to build them, to flip them over, and then once they are turned over, they have a very special and unique ability. You have the repair bay, where essentially instead of discarding cards, you place them there, and that allows them to return to the hangar on your next turn. You have the Stockade. Now, you can actually place Cobra officers you've defeated in the Stockade. If any complications say that a officer comes out and that officer's in your Stockade, he does not come out. However, if the story says he comes out, then he gets away, he's able to come out again. You have the Battle Station. This allows you to re-roll 1 die for any group missions you've assigned your Joes to. Now you have the Laser Cannon. The Laser Cannon allows you to roll 1 additional die for every side mission you send Joes on. Finally, you have the Command Room. If none of the command tiles are covered by Cobra Ninjas, you get to draw 1 extra card at the end of your turn. Now, as I say, this expansion brings 2 new missions to your game of the G.I. Joe deck building game. First of all, you have Rise of Serpentor. This was that great storyline in which Dr. Mindbender, Destro, and a cabal of disgruntled Cobras go ahead, seek out the DNA for Serpentor, and create a new Cobra Emperor. Next, you have the Night of the Arashikage. Now, during the Night of the Arashikage, you actually begin with the command center fully formed. You don't have to spend to have the things assembled. It's already assembled. You should play this one after you play the Serpentor mission. It's kind of a sequel to it. Now, once you have that done, however, you're immediately assaulted by those Trooper Ninjas. They go ahead and they go in the command center. Now, again, you can take them out like command missions, but while they're in there, of course, they block the special abilities. They deny them to the Joes, so you need to get them out of there. And you also need to attack other officers like Firefly that come out that really want to screw with your game. So all of these new cards and concepts are added to your G.I. Joe deck building game with the new expansion, Shadow of the Serpent. We'll get back to the review in just a moment. I want to take a minute to ask you to check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about history, books on history, military history. I even post some of my lectures for my classes on there. Please check that out. Please subscribe to that channel. And now, back to the review. So Shadow of the Serpent is, of course, as I say, brings a lot of new stuff to your game, the G.I. Joe deck building game. Now, I got to tell you again, I am a huge fan of the G.I. Joe deck building game. I'll be blunt, it's not perfect. There's some wonkiness. The rule book for the core game is not good. But once you get it figured out, you know, you may need to look at some forums or some videos, but once you get the game figured out, it is amazing. It's amazing because it is so thematic. It works so well. The stories, playing through the stories is so much fun. It's got dice, so there is a lot of chance in here. But man alive, it is a great, great game. I really enjoyed the core game quite a bit. So I wanted to see what this expansion could bring to it. I was really excited when I heard they were doing an expansion because it's such a fun game, and it's one of those games that you play and you're like, I want more, I want more. So this brings 2 new missions. The missions themselves are fun. They're not easy, I'll be blunt. I played through both of the missions. I haven't won either one yet. But they're both a lot of fun. The new cards, as I say, a lot of them are really interactive with some of the new rules, but really the great innovation here is the command center and the tiles. They're awesome because of those new abilities, and before long you really come to rely on them, and then you get mad when some ninja goes in and like takes over your laser cannon, so you don't get that extra die on side missions, or the battle station, so you don't get the reroll for the group missions. So there's some real moments, you know, but it's fun throwing some of those officers into the stockade and knowing they're not going to come out unless a story mission calls for it, which most of them don't, but it can happen. But you really like that, and that is a lot of fun. Overall, I really enjoyed this expansion. I really got a kick out of it. I think it's a great enhancement of the game. I can't see myself playing this game without those new main deck cards, and frankly, without the command center. I think you can play the command center even in the original game. With some of the other officers and complications, it still works fine, so it's not an issue. And I got to tell you, I think this is going to be my standard way to play with the command center with those new main deck cards. Now, in some of the shots you're seeing here, you may see the kind of front wall tile of the command center. That's actually not in the expansion. That's in the bonus box for the expansion. And in the bonus box, there's also a new Snake Eyes card and a new Scarlet card that come with that. They're the promos, so I don't know exactly. Renegade sent it to me. I'm not sure exactly if that is in the for sale on their website or exactly how that works, but I really like them. Great cards, and it's kind of, again, fun and evocative of having that command center there. When I was a kid, I had the command center, which I freaking loved, and it was awesome, and it was one of my coolest toys. My brother, he shared a room with me, and this room was right next to my parents' room, so he felt safe. He actually had a room downstairs, but he wouldn't sleep downstairs because he was afraid. Whatever. And so we had 2 beds side by side, and because it was my room, I could put my toys wherever I wanted. Well, I put my Joe Command Center right in between our beds. One day I go to school, I come home from school, turns out my brother was sick, and he had vomited all over my G.I. Joe Command Center, and I was so mad. My mom, God bless her, she scraped it, she cleaned that thing, but for the rest of my childhood, there was always these little dried fragments of my brother's vomit on that G.I. Joe Command Center. Yikes! Anyway, fun little anecdote for you. Getting back to the expansion, I love it. It's fantastic. I'm looking for it. I know they got another expansion coming out. I'm super looking forward to that. I love this game. In fact, this is quickly becoming one of my favorite deck builders of all time. Recommendation for the discriminating gamer for Shadow of the Serpent expansion to G.I. Joe deck building game. Buy it. Thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we ask you to please leave a comment for us on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. We'd ask you to please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. I'd also ask you, ladies and gentlemen, to please check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about military history and books on history, fun things like that. Please check it out. Please subscribe. I'd also ask you to please leave a thumb for this video on Board Game Geek. That helps us out a lot. You know, I was wondering, if Stanley Kubrick ever made a movie based on this IP, would it star Matthew Modine as G.I. Joker? Please somebody help me on my feet again, and I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the band. But no Zach, man.